Hugh Freeze has got to get some things cleaned up for Auburn, or Texas A&M is not going to end any differently than Oklahoma did. Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G. Turn us up, turn us on, we'll turn it out. Kyle Rush from The Barn to talk a little Auburn football. Please go visit thebarnauburn.com for all your message board needs. Also, check them out on YouTube. They got a really good YouTube channel going on over there. Burning up the charts, giving you guys daily content. You get daily content here. You get daily content there. The daily content you're going to get here today, we're talking about Auburn and what they need to clean up headed to College Station. And then we're going to talk about some superlatives for Auburn in the second half that we hope continue headed into A&M. But let's start at the top here, Kyle. Hugh Freeze didn't like the penalty. 13 penalties for 85 yards. Very untimely. Now, Oklahoma had 9 penalties for 99 yards. However, Auburn's penalties feel like they cost them more. Now, Oklahoma could have been flagged for like 50 more yards in penalties. Yeah, all right. We're keeping it a buck. There was a bunch of missed PIs and, you know, 15-yard unsportsmanlike on the illegal substitution play. But, hey, look, you got to move on, and you've got to clean up what you can control. And that is false starts. That is untimely offsides. It's all the things that got you beat, along with special teams blunders. I don't want to send the message that this team looked undisciplined. It just felt like there were some mental errors at key times on the road that will get you beat in the SEC. I think Oklahoma goes on to make the college football playoff. I said it before the game, days before the game. I said the winner of this game is going to go on to make the college football playoff. And I think they do that. But Auburn still got their whole season in front of them, and that starts with cleaning up the small things.
Yeah, man. It is frustrating because a lot of it just seems like it ought to be a pride thing, you know, like offensive line miscommunications and not knowing the snap. Like that's just, to me, like you just have to be locked in. You have to understand how important getting that snap count is right. And I know you're not always looking down at the ball, but you're the closest to the ball than anyone. Like if anybody should be having false starts, maybe it's the wide receivers and whatnot. They're as far away from the ball as possible. And that just can't happen. And back to back, like after one happens, to me, if you get one in a game, like that sends a shot to everybody on the line. Like, okay, we had a false start. That can't happen again. That's what I have to be locked in to what the snap count is, what the cadence is, all that good stuff. Like, I was talking with Reese Dismukes, and we do the clap snap count, and he was wondering if maybe the noise was messing that up to where maybe you couldn't hear whatever. Regardless, that's got to be like elementary school. We got to make sure we get the snap count down. The good news is it was so bad. I think it was and correct me if I'm wrong. I could tell from the press conference today, it looks like there was a lot of spirited conversations. I think with the offensive line, special teams, all those good things. But the little things, man, keep getting you beat. And those, to me, seem like the most easily to get corrected.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kyle. I don't want to send the message that this looked like an undisciplined football team.
Yeah.
It was just they were eager to make plays on the road. Like the penalties, 100% you have to eliminate those. There were other things like Malcolm Simmons fielding the ball deep pinning your own team back deep, just eager to make a play. I mean, he's a dynamic playmaker, but you cannot catch the ball that deep against this team. And he did that, and it hurt them. And the series of the sequence of plays after, I think, justified that was a really, really bad decision. They just kept making them, and it was tough.
You can be too confident in yourself. like to where you start like overlooking elementary school rules. Like everybody knows from high school to JV, you put your heels on the 10 and you don't go backwards. Like you just anything that goes over your head, you just let it go kind of thing. You surely don't field a punt over your shoulder, even if you're in the middle of the field. That just never happens. But again, you're right. That is not necessarily so much of I'm scared to make a play. That's like I'm trying too hard to make a play. But sometimes you still have to play within yourself and play within the rules and play within the instructions that you've been given. There's no doubt in my mind Malcolm knows better and has been told all the way back into high school.
100%.
That's a huge no-no. What do? Do you tell him every time he goes out now, hey, Malcolm, don't catch it over your shoulder again? Like he knows that. So you just got to be locked in and focused and think about the whole aspect of the game and think about the team and not just you making a play. And I know he would, if you gave that back to him, he would take it right now, even if he would have caught it and ran a touchdown. I think that's something he's really kicking himself over. So, yeah, I just sometimes you just gotta be smart, and sometimes we don't play smart.
Yeah. The Hugh Freeze talked at the press conference today about Malcolm Simmons, not Malcolm Simmons, I'm sorry, Cam Coleman, on what could have been an 80 or 75-yard touchdown, just kind of slowing his route, man. And if he had run through the ball, Jackson put it on a rope. But yeah, he's got the speed. If he had just kept running, he could have gotten there, and that would have been a score potentially. I looked at that play over and over again. The defender, the safety had a good angle, so I don't know if he would have outrun him. But I know that it definitely would have been like a 50 or 60-yard gain for sure with Auburn headed into Oklahoma territory. There were just, it was small. It was the details that that got you beat here, because despite the officiating, which I don't want to talk about, going into A&M, if you're Jackson Arnold and you've got Cam Coleman with 4 yards of cushion in the end zone, you got to hit him.
You got to hit that one.
You have to hit him.
Yeah, and going back to the play, everybody that's played football has had that route right there. The route that you have to run, that 99.9% of the time, it's never coming to you. You're a decoy. You're clearing out. And it's so hard sometimes when you're just not getting the ball. It's so hard to do that one for the team. Hey, I got to run this one hard for the team. And the one time he's probably done that one correct 1,000 times in practice and everywhere. But the one time maybe you check up just a little bit because you think by now the guy behind you should have the ball. And then you look up and it's coming your way. Like everybody's been there, but you can't have that. You just never know when you could be getting the ball. And that play could have been the difference in the game. I'm like you. I don't know that he could have scored, but it would have been a massive game. And it was a pretty good throw as well. If you look at where he should have been, had he not throttled it down a little bit, it would have been pretty much right on the money.
Here's what I would say, because again, you're going against high-level athletes. What I saw in that throw on replay was you put that ball on the rope because it gives the safety absolutely no chance to recover if you catch that ball in stride.
Yep.
There's just no way he can adjust at that angle and get over there and make a play on the ball. If you put some air under that one, it
could have been
yeah, or you give him a chance to come over and make a really good play on it.
Yeah.
If you get that throw, I can't stress this enough, versus A&M, you've got to make that play. But if you're Auburn, you also have to get back to your roots and you have to run the football. This A&M D line, they're not going to be able to stop the run the way Oklahoma did on Saturday. Now, look, Auburn actually did a better job stopping the run than Oklahoma did in that game. Jeremiah Cobb busted out of chains and hell,
it's a very impressive run.
Yeah, to put Auburn in the positive in the running category, because they were counting the sack yards against Auburn's rushing total. 10 sacks Oklahoma had. But there's the run game that you have to get back to. And then there's Jackson Arnold pulling the trigger faster. Now, we started off talking about penalties, but we're going to end this segment before we get to the break talking about missed opportunities. You created 5 of the 10 sacks Hugh says he puts on Jackson just holding on to the ball. He said the other 5, I don't think you can do anything about those. That's what he said today. But 5 of them, he's got to get rid of the ball faster. I feel like some of those plays felt very slow developing. I wonder if going into A&M, you don't call something more quick strike that requires a 2-step drop and a release.
Yeah, you'd love to have that same pocket, like that's created pocket. Like you'd love to have that same amount of time, but maybe have some, like you said, some quicker stuff. Like I think there were times where you got to be a little bit more anticipatory, like, or you got to anticipate a little bit more. You got to think about throwing guys open. And Jackson, when you're running those deep routes, it feels like he really has to see that guy open before he's ready to pull the trigger. It looked like Oklahoma was said, you can throw it in front of us and you can try to throw it behind us, but you're not getting anything in this 10 to 20 yard range. Like we're gonna cloud it up. We're gonna make it tough. And Auburn and Jackson had a really hard time finding anything in that magic intermediate area. I guess that was a real. I mean, I don't think we completed maybe one pass, and really, honestly, I think that pass was actually completed only 9 yards. That was Malcolm had a big first down on a crossing route, but I think it only actually traveled 9 yards, and then he had a good run after the catch. I think you gotta be able to still look at the offensive line and say, look, you did create a lot of time. Okay. So now marry that up with some easier decision-making items for Jackson and some easier pull the trigger quicker. And I think you really have to extremely develop a safety. Like you got to work hard to develop a safety valve on almost every single pass now, whether that be a running back, a tight end. There's got to be some sort of outlet for Jackson to be able to dump it off because he's very effective going boom, 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 1, 2, 3 check down. You saw him. He picked up had several big gains hitting the check down to the running back at times. So a lot of work to be done. I think there is a lot of positives to take because Jackson had on average 3 seconds to throw before he threw the ball. That's a lot of time, man. The NFL is like 2.5 seconds. So if he threw it on average 3 seconds, that means he had even longer than 3 seconds on average to get rid of the ball. So that's something you can build off of. Now marry that up with some easier decision-making for him, like some stuff that's easier for him to read and deliver. And you may have something you can cook with.
Agreed. They've got to cook. We're going to talk about some of the cooks that Auburn is going to have in the kitchen, burning up the field in College Station this coming Saturday. Auburn plays Texas A&M again in that 3:30, 2:30 Central slot. We can't wait for that one. But we'll talk about that right after a quick word from our sponsors, our friends at Abel's Iron Moore and Associates. That's AMA. Participating in a 401k is important, but so is investing those dollars wisely. Most plans have limited investment options, and long-term value of your account can vary widely based on the choices you make. The reality is many participants struggle with how to allocate their 401k and don't have a resource to help. Now you do. The team at Abel's I&O Moore and Associates will review your plan options, discuss your goals, and help you choose an allocation strategy that works for you. The best part, there's no charge for this service, just unbiased fiduciary guidance to help you get the most out of your retirement. Call AIMA at 912-777-4128 or visit AIMAINC.com today to take advantage of this free 401k review. The War Report has been compensated by Abel's I&O Moore and Associates for this endorsement. AIMA is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be considered personalized investment advice. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Call AIMA at 912-777 877-4128 to get your personalized investment advice today. Also want to thank our friends at Sky Tobacco and Vape. Need a smoke shop that's always close by? Sky Tobacco and Vape has you covered all over Columbus and even across the bridge in Phoenix City. Whether you're cruising down Airport Thruway, rolling along Victory Drive, or making a pit stop on the bypass, we've got a spot ready for you. From vapes to tobacco and everything in between, Sky Tobacco and Vape is your one-stop shop for good vibes and great deals. Swing through today. Chances are we're already on your way. Want to thank our friends at Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR. Use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. The summer may be over, but the fall is here, and that brings beautiful weather in Alabama. A great time to be outside by a Golden's Cast Iron grill or staying in shape with some Golden's Cast Iron weights. Work out, grill out, chill out with Golden's Cast Iron. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at SetsForSociety.ai. The road to knowing self starts at Sets for Society. They have custom personality assessments to let you know a little bit more about how you think, how those around you think, and how you guys can best think together to achieve like goals. If you're working on a team, want to be a better coworker, a better teammate, a better partner, and you want to learn how to communicate better with others and teach others how to communicate better with you, SetsForSociety.ai is the way to go. Again, visit them at SetsForSociety.ai today to get your custom personality assessment started. Let's jump back into our conversation here. Auburn had a lot of superlatives on yesterday's Auburn Express. We talked about Cam Coleman, and he was definitely a superlative in this one, and it was fun watching him and one 5-star to another play pitch and catch. But I feel like going into this game, the other superlative has to be the run game and Jackson Arnold's legs. Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, those guys flashed in this game, and it felt like if I had any criticism of this offensive game plan, it was maybe that they just abandoned the run a little bit. Abandoned even feels like a hard word to use, but you understand. I felt like they could have stuck with the run a little bit more once Jeremiah busted out that big one. Not a lot of people have done that on Texas A&M. Auburn had the athletes to do it. Texas A&M, I feel like they're a really, really good team. They're a great team, but I don't think they're going to be able to stop the run the way Oklahoma did.
You should be able to run the ball on them. And one thing I also noticed is I don't feel like, and I'm sure I'm wrong on this, and maybe the option was there and Jackson just chose not to take it, but it didn't feel like there were a lot of read plays where he had a good opportunity to pull it and run it. And that's where he killed Baylor. And that's where he's kind of made his money so far, so to speak, is that when you have that threat for him to pull it as well, to me, that opens up the running lanes for the other backs. Now, it could have been there's a very good possibility that there's a lot of RPO options where that was the case and he just gave it, or he pulled it and he threw it. So again, it's hard to know what was called. I think Hugh actually mentioned that, there's some runs called that have pass attachments to it, and we allow Jackson to pull it and make those throws, and we're okay with that because he's pretty good at it. So that's one thing about this RPO offense. It's really hard because unless you just call forced runs, unless you just say there's no attachment, you just turn around and hand it off, there's always some sort of decision that can be made, and it's all predicated based off of what the defense gives you. So that's the tough part when you say abandon the run. Did they abandon it, or was Oklahoma giving you a lot of passing looks, like good passing looks, and you just were struggling, I guess, connecting at times? That's the part that makes it tough to know which direction you need to go, because again, there's so many decisions that they make on every single play.
Yeah, the run game is going to be, I think, what wins Auburn this game versus A&M. Personally, you've got to continue to make explosive plays in the passing game. I want them to continue. I want to see them continue to push the ball down the field, particularly to Cam Coleman. He needs his catches. It felt like early in that game, A&M was just content to just hold him and to just hope that they didn't call pass interference. I mean, referee wasn't even looking at one. He was turned around, running down the field, trying to get into position, and somehow was out of position to make the call. Auburn went on to score on that drive, but there were others that were missed. One on Malcolm Simmons in the end zone, I felt like was definitely pass interference that they didn't call. So if you're Auburn, you have to continue to take those shots, because the first 3 weeks teams played Auburn scared of what those wide receivers can do. And then in week 4 versus the opponent most equipped to stop you, they started connecting downfield.
Yep.
However, go ahead.
No, yeah, they almost dared you to throw it deep a lot of times, and Auburn did, and they had some success. So that was kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, you got to build on that success.
Yep.
It feels, though, like the tight ends are just decoys in this version of the. I've been very underwhelmed by tight end play, and I wonder how you can get the tight ends, Kyle, more meaningfully involved in this offense to add that dynamic, because they're running a lot of 10, 11 personnel. So there's a tight end on the field almost all the time. I would love to see the tight ends become a threat here.
Yeah, I don't know that that's going to happen. let's just be honest. The only way I think you use them similar to the way you use the running backs in the check down game. To me, that's the best way to get them involved. Have them stay in to help pass block, and when they feel like they can get a free release, pop yourself out there and be a safety valve. I don't see they don't get good separation. They don't seem to have really good hands in traffic. You're not going to have a lot of threat down the field at all whatsoever. To me, stay in, help pass block, and then when you feel like you've created a good pocket, leak out and pick up some cheap yardage on some dump off plays. To me, that's about as much, and that's fine. You can be really good at that. Like you can get 4 or 5 yards a pop and help keep the chains moving. I just don't see these guys, unfortunately. I just don't see these guys being much of a threat down the field at all. It's just tough for them to get separation, man.
Very, very tough indeed. Look, ESPN's matchup predictor is giving Texas A&M a 68.4% chance to win this football game. Yeah. That feels a little wild to me, but okay. We'll see where it's at. The over-under on this one, 52.5, Kyle.
That seems right.
Maybe expecting a game in the high 20s between these two teams with a 6.5-point spread right now. And that's A&M minus 6.5. So Auburn is not going to lose a lot, if any, games this year by 2 scores.
I think they're all going to be close. I agree totally.
Yeah. I don't see them losing a game by 2 scores this season. If any team will do it, it'll be Georgia because of the curse. Because of the curse of Georgia, but not because they're just that much more talented. This version of the Auburn Tigers is extremely talented. Before we get out of here, I do want to talk about that defensive backfield. Much maligned were the corners coming into this one, and boy, I thought they held their own well versus the vaunted passing game of Heisman hopeful John Mateer. They did a great job in this one, in my opinion. Now, I know totally. It felt like until what I thought was a busted coverage that ended up being a controversial play with the referees, it felt like they were playing a perfect game until Oklahoma got that passing touchdown. But I've got to believe if they can play anything close to what they did versus Craver here in Concepcion, I think is how you pronounce his name. 2 very, very good wide receivers for A&M. They're going to keep Auburn. They're going to keep this game in the under as far as limiting Texas A&M. What do you think about the Auburn DBs and the matchup they have containing these Texas A&M wide receivers?
They're different. These wide receivers are different. They're more of your quick, explosive. They're not very big. Craver's only 5'9", but he is so fast and electric. In Concepcion, I think he was the number 1 portal wide, or maybe the number 2 portal wide receiver behind Eric Singleton. So very Eric Singleton-like. You kind of have 2 of them out there. And it's just going to present a different challenge. I think if you had to put one negative. I don't think Oklahoma really had any just very mega impressive wide receivers. These two are very impressive. So a little bit of a different challenge, but I'm with you. If you can kind of you really only had, honestly, I wouldn't even call the deception play bad defense. You just got screwed there. The last drive was probably the worst they played the whole game. Texas A&M found some stuff over the middle. I'm sorry, Oklahoma found some stuff over the middle. So you best believe Texas A&M is going to look at that and say, you got opportunities across the middle on those shallow drags, getting a guy either chasing across the field, or you know how they pass it off from zone to zone. There seems to be some miscommunication there. So I think Auburn definitely needs to tighten up that and get a little bit stronger in the middle of the field as far as their coverage goes, and then continue to contain and continue to attack the quarterback. They really frustrated John Mateer, and I think they can do the same with Marcel Reed.
I agree 100%. Look, it's going to be a tough one again on the road for the Auburn Tigers headed to College Station, but it's a place that they won before and won big. Hopefully the Tigers can get this one, man. You don't want to go into Georgia coming off a bye, needing that game to not start 0-3 in SEC play. Really puts a damper on the great start that you had to your season if you can at least get one of the first three here. Kyle Rush from the Barn, man, before we get out of here, tell people where they can find you.
Absolutely, man. Sign up for thebarnauburn.com. Get in the message board. We're talking about the basketball hire, basketball retirement of Bruce Pearl, and then what's going on with the roster right now, and what everybody's looking at. Or are they surprised? And then could you lose anybody? We're having that discussion right now. So it's a lot of fun. So sign up today and jump in the conversation.
Guys, that's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, brought to you by our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants. Also want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORTER to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. We want to hear from you. What do you guys think about this game coming up at A&M? Will Cam Coleman continue to eat? Will the DBs shut down these Texas A&M wide receivers? Hit the comment section. Let us know what you think about all that and Auburn cleaning up the penalties. Also, while you're in that comment section, do us a favor, smash that super thanks button. Your financial support helps keep the work that we're doing here going. Please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, worry.